Yo, what's up, guys? Another video coming at you. Me and Jet back at it again. This time we are going to break down what is, as of now, both of our highest money leagues, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Definitely mine. I don't know
Okay.
about you.
I mean, as of now it is. Like, I haven't done the other
Yeah, I don't
draft,
know if you're
but
doing the big boy one, but
I am, but, like, they haven't set a date yet or asked for money, so, like, it's hard to know.
yeah,
Um, this is our draft with subs. There's a couple of like guys you may know, like Vichy, Siphon, Blake, and then Niner, Adit. There's a couple guys that are just subs in there that haven't been around as long. But this is the Discord draft, the biggest one we have. We're gonna talk about what we were thinking at each draft spot. We're literally gonna go through in order. So Jet's gonna
yes,
talk
sir.
about his 1-4, then I'm gonna talk about my 1-7, and then my 2-6, and then it's gonna go back to Jet. Jet drafted
Let's
from the
do it.
fourth slot, as you can see right here. I drafted.
Yep.
I did not know it highlighted like that. I just accidentally clicked it. I drafted from the seventh spot. So we're gonna talk about each of those. We're gonna start off with Jet and take it away, kid.
Yeah, let's do it. So, starting at the 1-4, I went in the direction of Puka Nakua, and I've talked about it a little bit already. I know we put out a guide that mentioned it, but I think pick 4/pick 5 is one of the absolute best places to be, just because you get to secure one of those top tier wide receivers before it falls off just a little bit when it goes into the likes of CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. But for me, pretty simple at the 1-4. Ja'Marr Chase is the guy who went within that top tier wide receivers at 1-3. So I went with Puka Nakua, who I will say at this time he still had not practiced with his injury situation, his lower body injury situation that he's been dealing with. But now he's back to doing his drills and about to return to practice. So the reporting has, if anything, gotten more optimistic on Puka. We know how dominant that offense can be under Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford at the helm. So Puka Nakua, pretty easy click for me. Just praying that there's no random suspension still looming for him. But
Yeah,
yeah,
or just
pretty
that
simple
he's
for
not an
me at the one
idiot,
four.
like and
Yeah,
bites another
exactly. Or do
girl
something
like week
stupid.
two.
Don't be
Uh,
on Aiden Ross's stream.
yeah. So I had the 1-7. I was 1,000% clicking whatever name fell to me between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Christian McCaffrey.
Sure.
I knew
Yeah.
these five were going, and then this is a coin
Yep.
flip. I really preferred Christian McCaffrey just because I like starting with a running back, and that's who I ended up getting.
Yeah.
Um, there is a ton of injury risk with CMC, but there's also
Yes.
a ton of upside. Like CMC, if you guaranteed today CMC played 15 games this year, he would
Yep.
go at pick 1-2. He would go above Bijan,
Yep. Yep.
or maybe just behind him, but he'd go right there, just because
No,
he
I think if
gets
you bake in the
his
touchdowns,
touches.
he probably would be the one too.
Yeah, like his touches are just insane. He gets like 5 catches a game. Last year there was times when we were betting his over 5.5 catches as a fucking
Oh yeah.
running back. That is insane. So I like CMC. I was fine with Amon Ra. There was no other name that came to me that I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I think there's a pretty clear seven. There's a pretty clear top four, then a pretty clear top five, then a pretty clear top seven, and then it
Yeah.
kind of gets murky after that. Coming back at the turn, you can see that it went Taylor, Lamb, A Chain, Cook, Jefferson. A Chain, I would have taken all those names at 2-6 besides A Chain. This is a
Yeah, that
PPR
was
league.
aggressive.
Yeah, this is a PPR league. You can see Niner went very aggressive. He also drafted Trey McBride 2-3. Um,
Yes. That
but
was a surprise.
yeah, around the back half, I was really thinking, okay, is Saquon going to come to me? Is Genty going to come to me? Or is K9 going to come to me? I
Yeah.
was like at 1-7, I'm probably going to start two wide receiver unless there's a crazy running back or two running back unless there's a crazy running back run.
Yep.
Um, again, I was not thinking about Hampton, London, Henry. I wasn't thinking about anyone after that. It was Genty or Walker, whoever falls to me. I'm gonna take. If Genty and Walker would have went after, and I would have had like the AJ Brown, Hampton, London. That's where I really would have
Yeah.
had to think who do I want? Who do I have ranked highest? Which I don't know. I imagine it's London and PPR. It is London.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah, I
have
was gonna
drafted.
say I definitely would have been considering London just with my mentality towards things that
Yeah.
we just talked about in the back half video. But no, Kenneth Walker. I mean, I think you benefit a lot from Trey McBride going in the first half of that round to where you were able to get a guy like Kenneth Walker. I think it would have been difficult for me to not click Kenneth Walker after going
Yeah.
CMC with my first pick. So I
Yeah.
think that's pretty solid.
If Kenneth and Genty went, I would have probably drafted London. But thankfully, I got to start
Yeah.
with my two RBs like I wanted. Then it went
Yep.
Hampton, London, and Jet was back on the clock, and he went Derrick Henry. Explain why.
Yeah, and I think I would argue that I also was a beneficiary of somebody like Trey McBride going when he did. And I know we've talked a lot about Hampton and not being as in love with the talent there, or at least we love the Chargers offense, but we also love a guy like Keaton Mitchell and the talent he brings to that running back room. So I personally much prefer a guy like Derrick Henry. Now, obviously, a little bit of a downgrade when it comes to the PPR format, but in my opinion, not this big of a downgrade. I think the touchdown upside is there. If you look at guys who are, favored to be in that rushing title conversation, Derrick Henry is consistently there. I imagine he's close to being the favorite, if not the favorite at the moment. So you know what you're getting out of Derrick Henry. The reporting out of camp is that they're getting him ramped up to have a massive role to start this season. They're not tapering him off at all. So I love having a guy like Derrick Henry even at his age because he's clearly a freaking anomaly. So starting my draft with Puka Nacua and Derrick Henry for a balanced build, like I just talked about in the back half video, I think puts you in a very good spot to be able to adjust to your league from there as far as what draft strategy you're going to get into after that first two picks. So I felt pretty comfortable clicking Derrick Henry there. Nico Collins, I guess, somewhat tempting, but I wasn't trying to start two receiver. I think with Derrick Henry falling into my lap, that was always going to be the pick.
Yeah, I would have clicked Henry as well, just because you did start with Puka. If you started with, exactly. I mean, which there would have been no running back, you take it 1-4, but like if you start with a running back, I would have considered Nico or Bowers. But I like the Henry pick. After that, it went Nico. Vichy took Brock Bowers, and then Jazz on the turn took Olave and Pickens. Vichy coming back took a Rashee Rice. Brady took Jeremiah Love, and that lands Jet at 3-4 with Breece Hall.
Yes, and I was pretty happy about that too. Like Jeremiah Love and Rashee Rice, you don't necessarily see going in those two slots in every draft that you do. I think Jeremiah Love, I can definitely make the upside case for him, no doubt. I think in the past, we've had guys like Bijan in their first year, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like guys like that who we've said, okay, they're going to be the guy. Ashton Jeanty, where we're pretty confident that with how unique of running back prospects they are and the situation that they landed in, they could easily be a first-round pick, or not even in the best situation in the case of like Ashton Jeanty going to a Raiders O-line that was absolutely dreadful. But we were still clicking him at the end of round one. So I think there's a little bit of fatigue factor when it comes to that as well, because Jeremiah Love, like hands down stud prospect. Yeah, it's not the cleanest look in Arizona, but he could end up smashing for a third round pick. But at the same time, I feel very, very comfortable clicking on Breece Hall in a full PPR, just because again, like Geno Smith, not going to be the greatest of all time, but he's going to push the ball, and if he's not pushing the ball downfield to Garrett Wilson, then he's going to be checking it down to Breece Hall over and over and over again with that receiving skill set. So for me, I think I benefited a lot from another couple of guys that I personally would not have chosen where they went when it comes to Rashee Rice and Jeremiah Love. Not to shade those guys because Vichy's very sharp. Obviously, Brady knows what he's doing to be in a $500 league, but pretty comfortable with Breece Hall. And I talked about it in the back half video as well. I'm not necessarily compelled to go to running backs in my first 3 rounds all the time because I do like some of those stabs in the mid rounds. But at the same time, Breece Hall is that one guy where if he falls to me in round 3, I'm going to click it. I don't really care where my first 2 picks went from there. So pretty comfortable with Breece Hall there.
I would have taken Breece for sure there. I do think I think this was before Jeremiah Love's ankle injury. But regardless, I'm lower on Jeremiah Love than you are and the market. I'm definitely lower on Rashee Rice than 3-2. So I do think you benefited. Yes. I remember this vividly, this third round, because I was sitting hard on Malik Nabers, Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson. I wanted one of those guys.
If I didn't pick Breece, it would have been Malik Nabers.
Yeah, I did not think Siphon was going to go 3 wide receivers. So I was like, okay, he could draft Kyer, and the next guy could draft someone, whoever, and then I could get Malik Nabers. I really wanted Malik Nabers. I did not get him. Siphon did start 3 wide receivers. And then Kyron went, so I was very happy that I sat. I remember, and a lot of these, this was a 12-hour slow drop, just so everyone knows. So when you open the app, you have 12 hours. Now, granted, if you take 12 hours, we're killing you. It should be like
you're getting killed
at your first available convenience. Draft as soon as you can. Yes. And I remember I had Devontae Smith, Garrett Wilson, and Q, and it took me an hour to decide between them two. Um,
So
took
tough.
me
They're
so
they're so
long.
good too. I
Yeah,
love
so
those two
long.
football players, by the way. If I'm ranking top 10 receivers in football off of pure talent, Devontae Smith and Garrett Wilson are well into my list. Definitely
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson,
it took me
Devontae
so
Smith
long.
definitely there too. So
I'm pretty sure what I ended up doing. Well, obviously I know I drafted Devontae Smith, but I'm saying I think that Devontae Smith was at the top of the board, and Garrett
yeah,
Wilson had an ADP of like 45. So I was
yes.
like, I think that I could get him coming back,
Okay,
and I know I
gotcha.
can't get Smith, so I'm gonna go Smith and hope that Garrett Wilson
Goes
comes
next.
back. Then he went the next pick. So I was like, okay, great. And I remember Blake saying he was really wanting Devontae Smith, and he ended up going Garrett
Okay,
Wilson.
yeah.
So it would have been whatever. There, that's a wash to me. Those are very similar. Then it went
Yeah.
Egbuka, Higgins, Flowers, A Chain, McConkey. I'm calling him ETN, bro. ETN, McConkey,
No, you got
Josh
it.
Allen. No, I know. I'm just saying.
A-Chain.
Like every time you say A Chain, I think of Devon.
Yeah, no, I know. It's confusing.
McConkey. So you can see this is a $500 league. Josh Allen did not go to the fourth round. I think that's fine value on Josh Allen. He went with the Josh Allen James Cook combo,
Yep.
um, which I don't really think is that bad compared to most other quarterback wide receiver stacks or quarterback running back stacks because
No.
James Cook catches so many balls.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
then it went Javonte Williams, Josh Jacobs, and this one again. I remember the fourth round vividly because I wanted motherfucking Jalen Waddle so bad. I'm a Broncos fan. If you don't know, I'm high on Jalen Waddle. I'm high on Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I wanted this dude
Love
so
Jalen Waddle.
bad. Blake sat on the chat, like had his screen open. You can see him sometimes their screen open on Sleeper for like 10 minutes, and clicked Tet. I clicked Jalen Waddle literally 0.5 seconds later because I had my screen open, and he claimed that he wanted Jalen Waddle and he fat fingered it. Is that
Oh,
true? I don't know, but I'd already clicked Jalen
no.
Waddle, so I was like, bro, I can't. I can't. I'm
Nah,
sorry.
you're just making excuses, bro.
Which Tet was at the top of the ADP board.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I I would have if Jalen Waddle would have went. I don't know who I would have picked. Like I legit was confused. I honestly am pretty sure that I had Jameson Williams queued, which I ended up taking 5-7. Maybe I take Burden. I see he goes 4-7. But I was very happy to get Waddle. That's what I want to say. Um,
Yeah.
then it went Luther
I'm, I'm,
Burden.
a, I'm a big fan of Jalen Waddle, too, man. He's going to be so
Bro,
fun.
if he does not go insane this year, then I just don't know anything about anything.
No, because I've seen
He should
and
go
I've seen the
insane.
contrarian case on Jalen Waddle because it's interesting. I've seen the pessimist case for him is that Bo Nix is not as strong in his like if you look at the breakdown of his targets and where he's gone with the football so far in his career, he's not as strong in the middle of the field where Jalen Waddle is technically the strongest. But all the reporting out of camp has been they're gonna have Waddle in every single receiver position,
Yes,
running all kinds
that's
of
why
different
I think
routes.
it's gonna
Like
be insane.
he's gonna be all over the field, dude.
I
Like they're gonna
saw
find him the football one way or another.
I saw Matt Harmon, who does some wide receiver stuff. He was talking about
Yeah,
why he thinks Jalen Waddle is going to explode this year, and I think it's a really good point. He was talking about
yeah,
Jalen Waddle has played next to Tyreek Hill, and when you think about the
yep.
Dolphins' offense, it has always been Tyreek, boom, 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 boom. We're going to try to get Tyreek the easiest matchup possible. Jalen
Oh, yeah.
Waddle, you're going to play X. You're lining up in the line of scrimmage. You're drawing
Yep.
the number one cornerback matchup every single down. So
Yep.
theoretically, he had the hardest position, the hardest,
Yeah.
the hardest game plan against him.
Sure.
And then his quarterback is also Tua, who is like a 1-2 1-2 1-2. Like
Yeah.
he does not want
Yeah.
to take a 5-step drop. He does not want to get past his first protection. He's scared.
Yeah.
So I really like. I mean, Bo Nix. I know Bo Nix. If you look at like, A dot and stuff, he has a low A dot because they do have a lot of screens and little checkdowns. But like he also pushes the ball downfield a lot. Like Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. I mean, think about like the Marvin Mims
Yeah.
play against Buffalo and the AFC, whatever before the championship. I can't think of what it's called, divisional.
Divisional, yeah.
And then the 1-2 Lil Jordan Humphrey, the little oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm getting hyped thinking about
Well, I
it. He
think
likes to
I,
push
I
the
can
ball.
think of plenty. I can think of
Yes,
plenty
like
of
he throws the ball
long-
downfield. There's a take that I know you were
like
talking
on
about the middle of the
numbers
field.
out to Cortland Sutton too.
Yeah,
like,
the middle of the field. I'm not gonna deny. But like people that say he does like to
Right.
push the ball down the field, and like Jalen Waddle's a down the field receiver. First of all, he doesn't have to be. He could be moving
Yeah.
laterally a ton, crossing routes. Troy Franklin last year was good, and Troy Franklin sucks at football. So Jalen Waddle, I mean, let's go. I too much time on Jalen Waddle. Luther Burden, Cam Scatabo. Then Jet took someone that I had favorited. I actually
Yep.
think now that I just saw you had Colson Loveland, I actually think that I was between Waddle, or I thought Waddle would have went. I was between Burden and Loveland because now that I
Yeah.
see that you drafted him, I remember I had him in my queue and you took him.
Yeah. Yeah, not typical of me to go to the tight end position there. I'm not gonna lie. Like after I made the call to go with the second running back in 3 rounds, which I already don't do as much, I would typically answer that with my second receiver to continue with more of a balanced look with my roster. But again, I was sitting there, I was rooting for a guy like Jalen Waddle. Now I should have known better than to think there was even a chance of
Yeah,
that
you had
because
no
of
fucking chance.
it
You
just
should have
wasn't gonna
known. You
happen.
should have
But
known.
having a guy like Waddle or Tet on the board would have completely changed my mentality towards this pick. Luther Burden, a little surprised he went a couple picks before that, but I think honestly, as far as receivers go, he may have been the best upside pick other than maybe J-Mo. But for me, with me being on the clock there, Colson Loveland is a guy that I've definitely warmed up to. I wasn't as high on him super early in the draft process, but the more and more I've seen out of camp, the more and more I'm like, yeah, he should be the best bet to get the most targets in Chicago. And I'm pretty high on what Caleb Williams is going to bring to the table this year. So I think that offense is going to be pretty good. Like Ben Johnson, he's going to do a good job of making that offense elite. And Colson Loveland seems like the guy that's going to be one of the bigger, if not the biggest, beneficiaries of that. And like I feel like every day at a Bears camp, I'm seeing Loveland getting targets, not only like targeted a lot within the intermediate part of the field, but they're pushing the ball down the field to Colson Loveland, like in the deep
Yeah.
middle, like fucking on seam routes, like he's getting the ball pushed to him. So I don't know, some exciting things out of him. When I think of some of those earlier tight end tiers, obviously we had McBride and Bowers go pretty appropriately. To me, this got to a point where I'm like, yeah, Colson Loveland, like for the upside he's gonna bring, even though I'm picking him as the third tight end off the board, I still think he can beat that ADP projection. So I'm pretty comfortable there. And then looking at it too, the biggest mentality was like, okay, Waddle didn't get to me, Ted didn't get to me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, Terry McLaurin, like I kind of see the case for
Yeah, I
him.
would
I
not have
kind of do
drafted
like
him.
the Commanders offense, but then JMO, like I just don't know as my second receiver. I don't know. For me, Colson Loveland, I really, really liked at that spot. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger there. And then from there, it went Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Swift, and then the turn was David Montgomery to Tyler Warren, the next tight end, which to me, Colson Loveland is just a much higher upside version of Tyler Warren. Now, obviously, if the targets are super, super overwhelming for Warren, then I could see that ADP paying off. But for me, pretty comfortably Colson Loveland over Warren. Terry McLaurin, Quinshon Judkins, and that led to my next pick where I ended up going with my guy Jadarian Price. Now, to me, I am becoming bullish on Jadarian in particular. We talked about it a lot in the mid round, so I'll be brief here, but just love the upside he adds to your team. And again, like receiver wise, I just wasn't that high on this particular group. Like Devontae Adams, I'm obviously not going in that direction, having taken Puka Nakua. He would have been towards the top of my board. Roma Dunze, definitely not. I already have Colson Loveland and don't love him for ADP as it is. Jameson Williams is the only one where I'm worried I'm gonna regret not going in that direction. But this was much less about being low on Jameson Williams as it was being high on Jadarian Price. Because I think with my team build, if some of my later wide receivers hit, especially the next two that I'll talk about within my draft, Marvin Harrison, Quentin Johnston, like if guys like that do end up hitting for me, I'm gonna feel pretty good about the fact that I took my upside stab right there on Jadarian Price. And those are guys, that's exactly why my draft strategy went the way it did. I went Price for the upside as another running back without much pressure of having to have him in my lineup as an RB2 while taking some receivers that I'm pretty high on a little bit further down the board.
Yeah.
So that was the
Um,
mentality there.
the Loveland pick I loved. Jadarian Price was definitely surprising. Not in a
Aggressive,
bad
yeah,
way, just
yeah, it's
aggressive.
aggressive.
I
Hmm.
think I think Price was in the conversation. With you having two
Yeah,
running backs, I would have been, and this is just because I'm a big Jameson guy. I
yeah.
would have been tempted to click Jameson,
Hmm.
maybe Mike Evans, but like I don't think Price is as crazy. Um, like I'm fine with that. Like when you look at the next running back taken after him, Bucky, like I like Price way more than Bucky. So
Yeah, and
Bucky
then you
goes
said
5'5".
over Tootin too, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, two, and I like Jadarian Price as well.
Yeah.
So then Refed took Drake May, and then it comes to me. James Williams, the guy that I want to leave every single draft with, falls to me. Absolutely loving it. I was very
Yeah,
happy that he went Drake
you ended up
May.
benefiting from my aggressiveness, I think,
Yeah,
and lack
I
of
was very
receiver
happy
play.
there. Like a Drake May going, which granted he wouldn't have taken Jameson Image because he did Amon Ra, but very
Yeah.
happy there. Then Blake goes, Devontae Adams, Tootin goes, Odunze, Evans, DJ Moore, Jaden Daniels goes 6-1. I actually had Jaden Daniels queued, thinking that he could come to me. He did not.
Yeah. Mm.
Then I had Christian Watson queued. He did not come to me. Then it goes
Oof.
Burrow Prescott. Then I had Parker Washington queued. He did not fall to me.
Oh, the Parker
So
Wash
it,
hurts.
it got to 6-6, and I was like,
I love him.
who in the fuck do I take?
That is an
Like
interesting spot.
I think that anyone from pick 6-6 to pick 7-7 was on my mind
Yeah.
to draft. But like I was, I am a big proponent of like starting wide receivers at flex, so that's why Travion Henderson wasn't as obvious to me. But
Yeah.
like a Carnell Tate goes right after him. I don't like Carnell Tate. I didn't like him coming out of
Yeah.
college. I used to fade him
Yeah.
a lot in CFB. Um,
Sure.
Marvin Harrison, was on the mind. Brian Thomas was on the mind. Quentin Johnson was on the mind, and then
Yep.
I really wasn't thinking about tight end because none of the second tier had went of like the Kraft, Pitts, Fan, and Laporta. So I was like, I'm not gonna draft tight end this early. So I ended up going
Yeah.
Travion Henderson, hoping that he could take over for Ramondre, and like Ramondre's just ass. Because before
Yep.
last year it was always Ramondre's ass. Then last year Ramondre was like amazing, out of nowhere. Like he stopped fumbling, was really good, and it was like, what the hell? So if
Yeah.
he's asked again, Trayvon Henderson can nuke. If not, and he's just like I think he's a high upside play, and he's also got a decent floor. Good offense. Hopefully he can get some pass catching work from Ramondre. But
Yeah.
that was the hardest pick in the draft for me by far.
Yeah, I mean that looks like a tough spot for sure. I think I agree with you in the sense that Travion is a good dart throw in the sense that he could easily end up taking a role from Ramondre and it becoming like an evolving thing where he's taking more and more snaps as he goes, starting from hopefully the point where he's getting the pass catching early. But like with a guy like him, what I've seen is a take is like people who aren't as high on Jadarian Price, they're saying that like if you like Jadarian and that like upside case and his skill set, then you better like taking Travion Henderson as well because he's got the similar talent advantages over Ramondre as Jadarian does over Zach Charbonnet when he ends up coming back. So like it's like if you like Price, you better like Henderson down the board a little bit further. And I kind of don't fully disagree with that. Like I think he's
Yeah,
got a very nice upside case.
yeah. I
Obviously,
mean,
I think Carnell Tate would have been a little bit tempting just for the upside, but like I get it, not being as high on him
yeah.
as
I
a
just don't know if
prospect
they're
as the
good.
Titans were. But it's just, dude, that draft capital is pretty crazy though. Like that's
No,
what
it
I always
is.
come back to when I
It
think about
is.
Carnell Tate.
I just think
But
when I think about Carnell Tate, three things come into my mind. I don't
mhm,
know if Carnell Tate's good. I don't know if Cam Ward's good. I don't know
yeah,
if the Titans' offensive line and offense in general is good. So it's like holy
true.
like I don't like
Well, I
with
think you
other
feel
rookies I
similarly
could
about
latch
Marv
on
too,
to.
right? About
Exactly.
Arizona. Yeah,
Exactly. Like Marv, I don't know if Marv's good. I know they're gonna pass a lot. Like I know Jacoby's, whatever. But like I don't
yeah,
know if they're gonna pass a lot or as much as they did, and the offense is
yeah.
projected to be really bad. So,
Yeah, and
which
I
granted
think
at
that
six
mentality
nine,
is hard to argue with, man, because
yeah,
the Patriots are going to be good. That's what you know.
yeah. So I went Travion. Then it goes Carnell Tate, Jalen Warren, and then Jet took Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, and then you mentioned it with Quentin Johnston being on your mind as far as this last pick for when you took Travion. He was definitely on my mind. Like those are the two guys that I had queued. Really, it was Marvin Harrison and Quentin Johnston, and I was picking between the two. So to end up with Marvin Harrison, who has been getting a ton of camp hype, and I think the thing with him, because remember the draft capital on him was crazy. The way he
Oh,
profiled coming
insane.
out of college
Yeah,
was
I thought he was the
insane.
best
Like
prospect ever.
yeah, yeah, and if it truly does come down to majority of it being a confidence thing with him, it seems like this training camp and how things have gone so far for him the past month of reporting, everything indicates that he's got every reason to have the confidence built up. So this is really going to be the true test of was he really that legit of a prospect and is he able to translate to the NFL the way he did in college or Is it just not going to be what we thought he was going to be as a prospect? But
Yeah, I mean,
I
it
think
could
this is an
be.
exciting opportunity when he's starting to build up some confidence, and with the new offense, with the new quarterback situation, or not new quarterback situation, but him being settled in a little bit. I think could be when we see him tap into some of that talent we thought he was going to be out of college. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
I'm
there's
excited to take him there.
at the start of the sixth round, there's legitimately three names, and that's
Yeah,
it. That I think you could argue we look back on it, it's like, how did this dude go so late? Like, he's a second
yep,
round pick next year, and it's
yep,
BTJ, like if he's just good again,
yeah. Talent wise, yep.
and it's Marvin Harrison. The third one, I really don't even have a third one. I was thinking maybe Parker Washington or Christian Watson, but like I don't see those guys ever being second round picks. But like Marvin Harrison could legitimately be a second round pick next
Parker,
year.
if you want to
Like
be the super optimist, maybe.
yeah, like I mean if
I
he
kind
just
of
goes
like him.
dumb, but like I just think there's so
Yeah,
much like with BTJ, with Jacoby, with Travis Hunter. I don't know
yeah.
if you could
But
really
like with
get there.
Marv, he is inarguably like the guy there. It's just whether
Yes.
they're decent and whether he's really that good.
Yeah.
So compared to the rest of the room, that's what
So
needs to be told.
it goes BTJ, DK, Ramon Dre,
Yep.
Chris Godwin, Rico, Tucker Kraft, and then it sounds like the two guys you were between, Marvin Harrison, Quentin, and QJ Fell.
It was unbelievably surprising to be on the clock and seeing QJ still at the top of the board. I was
That's
very
the best
surprised he
feeling
didn't go at
ever.
that turn. Now and I don't blame the Brian Thomas pick at all, but I'm surprised those next 5 picks came off the board without QJ coming first. That's
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
where I
I'm
was with it.
I can
Yeah,
see
it's okay.
DK. I'm
Good.
surprised by Chris Godwin, honestly. I can
Yeah,
see
for
Rico
sure.
too, but like when
Yeah,
I'm looking at Vichy's team, he already had Bijan and Swift.
yeah.
I do like Rico a lot this year though.
The upside for
So
sure. He's
yeah,
talented.
here comes a tight end run. We go Tucker Kraft. You draft QJ.
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember sitting at this point. I had Pitts and Fannin and Jaden Reed queued. Pitts and
Yep.
Fannin go.
Yeah.
Laporta has like this weird hip injury, so I was never interested in him.
Yeah. Just for he
Uh,
finally returned to practice, I believe, yesterday.
okay. So I drafted Jaden Reed. We've talked about Jaden Reed in literally every video. You know, there's
You have
not much
J-Mo,
else
by
we
the
can
way, so
say.
there's no way.
Oh yeah, that's another reason why I didn't like him, I guess.
Yep.
We talk about Jaden Reed in literally every video, but really like the Jaden Reed value. So
Yeah.
not gonna spend too much time there. Then
Yep.
it goes again. I'm thinking. Uh, oh, the other name that I was considering here, I remember now because I just saw him was Jalen Hurts, and I was like, every
Oh yeah,
team
late
after me
Jalen
has
Hurts.
a quarterback, but Blake. And
Of course.
Blake's gonna watch this video and he's gonna hear me say this, but I was thinking, okay, dude, me, Vichy, and Jet have not taken a quarterback yet. Like
Yeah.
Blake's gonna want to feel sharp and also not take quarterback. Like I don't think Blake is just gonna take a rogue quarterback when like
Yeah.
every other name that's been taken is like from the random subs. Uh,
Yep.
so I was like, I'm not gonna take Jalen Hurts, and it goes Laporta, Goddard, Myers, Kelsey, Harvey, Pollard, Brooks, Wanda Robinson, Cortland Sutton, and I'm sitting here like licking my chops. And then the fucker takes Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, no, because
Oh,
I had this stack with Devontae Smith. I should
dude,
have
it would
drafted
have
him.
been amazing.
Yeah, I should have drafted him, but I didn't. And I think in the back of my head, I was also thinking like, if he gets drafted, that just gives me another reason to stack Bo Nix with Jalen Waddle. So there's always that fallback, you know.
It's so
Um,
inevitable.
yeah, I mean, I before the draft was even over, I changed my team's name to Bo's Waddle House and put on the little AI graphic that someone made the day they got traded. So I went
Yeah.
Josh Downs again. That's another name that we've talked about in literally every video, so I'm not going to spend any time talking about him.
Yeah.
After that, I went Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams. I also considered Caleb Williams here. Wanted to
Sure.
throw that out there, but after Jalen Hurts, when I was like, I just don't want to draft Caleb Williams here. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
unstacked Caleb is like is good. He obviously still love him,
Yeah,
especially relative to ADP.
it seemed like fair value for Caleb Williams. Jalen Hurts
Sure,
was
that's
like,
not a
okay,
good
bro, eighth round Jalen Hurts is like a must click. Caleb
gonna
Williams, it's
run.
like, yeah, that makes sense. So I didn't click him. You went Stephon Diggs. We've also talked about
Yeah.
Diggs in a ton of videos. I really like the Diggs pick as your fourth wide
Yeah,
receiver.
for sure.
That gives you
Especially
another
with
flex
Harrison
option.
and QJ having like inherent boomer bust kind of mentality. I thought getting Diggs there was pretty solid just for volume
Yeah, I
sake.
think Diggs is super safe. Like a
Yeah.
5 to 6 catches, 60 yards a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a possession first down getter.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And that's what I was looking for there.
and then like especially when you consider the two wide receivers go after Pittman and Lemon, like Diggs is so much better than them.
Yeah,
Vichy
I
goes
think so.
Mahomes 8-11, and then we get a
Yep.
Bill and a Makai Lemon. Vichy coming back goes Kenny Gainwell. Brady takes J.K. Dobbins, and you stack your QJ with Justin Herbert.
I love
Quarterback,
it.
what is that? That's quarterback one,
Oh,
two, three, four, five, six. Holy cow. 4, 6, 8. That's quarterback 9. So you got
that's
Justin
10, I
Herbert's
think.
quarterback 9. Oh, yeah. Is it
One,
2,
one, two,
4,
three, four,
6,
five.
8, 9? Yeah. I
Yeah,
counted 9. Sorry.
QB10.
So that's the 10th quarterback. Um,
Yeah, super
was
comfortable with QB10 Herbert.
yeah. I
Not
mean,
gonna lie.
obviously we like Herbert, and was it also like I want to make sure I get the QJ stack, or were you just you needed that
Yeah,
you didn't
no,
want to
like
draft
for
it
me,
up?
I think that was definitely more icing on the cake than in particular trying to stack it. But with my stacks, like I love, especially with the later like value type stacks, I love it when it's two guys who are going lower than I think they should be. And with Herbert and QJ, that's no doubt what it is because what if Herbert turns into, a top five quarterback under McDaniel as his play caller? And QJ's the guy who benefits from anytime McDaniel decides he wants to push the ball down the field, throw something deep, it's going to QJ, and they're scoring a bunch of touchdowns. If he ends up being like a 10 touchdown guy and Herbert's a top five quarterback in fantasy, then all of a sudden you have a crazy formula. And especially for me, that's extra valuable because I decided to stack my early draft with running backs and a tight end early. So I think having something like that down the board increases the ceiling of my team. And that's where outside of actually win a championship in a $500 league as opposed to trying to play it safe super often.
Yeah. Um. So then it went Jordan Mason, Blake Corum. I had Corum and Monagai queued up, or
Yeah,
have you say that guy's last name?
Manungai, you got it. It's close
Manungai.
enough.
So
Yeah,
Corum went. I was pretty pissed about that because I would have loved to draft Blake Corum, just because I think
yeah,
like Kyron has to get hurt at some point. Um, so I got Manungai. It's really like it's kind of like a RB handcuff, but it's like a very good one because he's gonna have
yeah,
a somewhat of a role. Swift, could get hurt, could just lose work. Amazing
yeah,
offense, so that's why he's like a better handcuff in my opinion than like the Algier guys that go
yeah,
after him, like Algier, Chuba,
yeah.
Aaron Jones, stuff like that.
We love when they have a
Um,
legit role to start with, for
yeah,
sure.
and like the offense is top five and can
Yep.
support two RBs like they did with Monty and Gibbs if for some reason they're that good, which I don't think
Yeah.
they are. I'm just saying. Um, so then Blake goes Alec Pierce, Nikes goes Chuba Hubbard. Then we see Algier Wilson back to back Cardinals, Worthy Golden from Adit, Rashad White, Jalen Coker, Rashid Shaheed. Another, I had Casey Concepcion queued with John Stribling, and I got sniped again by Blake.
Yeah.
I was pretty pissed at Blake this whole draft, honestly. He drafted Parker Washington. He sniped Parker Washington, sniped Garrett Wilson, sniped Jalen Hurts, sniped Casey
That's how it goes
Concepcion.
in $500 league, man. That's just
Yeah.
how it is.
So I got Stribling, went to the strip club with my boy Jed York. Um, and then we went to the trailer park after. It was a great night. But honestly, it was a pretty straightforward pick. I was considering to this point, I still have not drafted a quarterback or a tight end, and I'm 10
Yep.
picks in. You can only start 6 wide receivers and tight ends, and through 10 picks, I mean wide receivers and running backs, and I've drafted
Yep.
10 of them so far. I was
Yeah.
considering quarterback. I was considering tight end, but if you sit here and look, Jet was quarterback 10. So I was like,
Yep.
okay, only 2 other teams don't have quarterback, and it's Jazz and me.
Yep.
I'm comfortable with like 5 quarterbacks, and only one quarterback's gonna get taken. And then for tight end, I was like, I'm really comfortable with Kittle or Kincaid, and
Mhm.
every other team had tight end. Now when Siphon clicked Kittle here, I was like, oh fuck, why did this dude just go 2 tight ends? Because someone, okay, never mind. I was gonna say someone else didn't have a tight end, but it was Ada at the back, so I still wasn't that worried, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, which thank God this dude took likely over Kincaid. Brady, what a fucking
Mhm.
retard. I'm kidding, Brady, I love you.
Okay. Oh
Um,
my God.
so you took Aaron Jones, Anything you want to
Yeah,
say about
and
Aaron
could
Jones?
I just no, just one thing I want to mention for Aaron Jones kind of just boring running back depth pick. I think there's obviously some level of upside that he ends up being more so on the better half share of Jordan Mason, but those guys are going to be close to 50-50 for most of the year.
Yeah.
If not, I could definitely see the case for Jordan Mason taking over a little bit, just being a little more youthful than the older Aaron Jones, who tends to be broken down. But I think the most important thing is when you look at like round 8 on, this is why if you're like using these guys to prepare for your sharper leagues, definitely want to reference this video a lot more than anything else, just because if you look at the biggest difference between a mock draft, between a casual home league, and what we have in front of us right here with this $500 league, is when you look at round 8 on, or like maybe even round 7 on, right, where teams aren't taking a stupid second quarterback. They're not reaching on a silly like running back handcuff too early. um Stuff like that is such a big difference, and you can see it like when we're getting into the middle of the 8th round, and it's Blake Corums and Manung guys for like such a big difference. If you're in a 12-man home league with your random uncles and aunts and stuff, then you're not going to end up having a league where those are the guys that are going in those rounds. So if you're using this, if you're using our guides to prepare for your actual like legit sharper leagues with guys who know what they're doing, this is definitely what you want to look at. But yeah, I went with Aaron Jones there for depth, and then on the way back it goes Romeo Dobbs, Khalil Shakir, Jacoby Lane, Cyrus Allen, and again, like these are the type of guys that are getting taken, and it makes total sense because guys have one running back, one quarterback. We're being responsible about not trying to overdraft depth that we don't need. So guys like this are going at this turn. Khalil Shakir, sorry, did I lose track? Yeah.
Cyrus Allen,
Jordan
Jordan
Tyson,
Tyson.
Jordan Tyson, who obviously unfortunate with that injury, Isaiah Likely, and then
The
I went with
injury,
Marshawn Lloyd.
I was just gonna say the
Yeah.
injury was known there when
Oh, okay.
Vishy
Yeah.
took him. It was just like
Yeah.
Vishy was like, I mean, if he makes this 5 weeks and comes back like 11-2 is too late, throw him on IR. We do have 2 IR spots in this league.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually considering taking Jordan Tyson. Now I was considering taking him like, I was hoping that no one would draft him because he was hurt and like get him 13th round. But
Yeah. That's always nice. Yeah.
you took Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah, just
We haven't really.
for me, one of the better handcuffs. Again,
I
I'm pretty
agree.
high on his talent. I don't know if he's going to end up on the field. Obviously, not sure whether the Jacob suspension is happening or not. But if it does, I think for my team, it would be nice to have that as another flex option over somebody like Diggs, and having to start Jadarian Price early on when we don't know exactly what the snap count's going to be. So Lloyd having to slot in for Jacobs would be definitely tempting. Who would obviously be a guy that would have a good amount of the share, if nothing else, for week 1. And then it goes Denzel Boston, Zach Charbonnet into your Dalton Kincaid little value pick, which I absolutely love as your
Yeah.
tight end one.
I was between Kincaid and Kittle, and when Kittle went, I was like, okay, now's my time to go ahead and take my tight end because Adit was behind me. He didn't have a tight end, so I knew I had to pick tight end right here, or else he was going to pick the tight end, and I knew he wanted Kincaid because Adit's not an idiot, and Kincaid's
Yep.
very good. Um,
Yep. Very
so it was, literally since Kittle got picked, I only had one guy in the queue, and it was Dalton Kincaid. Got him, was very happy about that. It goes Chris Rodriguez, Tyrone Tracy, Woody Marks, Keaton Mitchell, just a whole handcuff RB tier, which sucks. He drafted Tyrone Tracy and then they signed Najee, but because now he's useless. But Ada took his tight end. He took Mark Andrews,
Yep.
and then he took Spears, another RB handcuff. Then it went Malik Washington, which
Yep.
I didn't even see that. I feel like that I've never even seen his name pop up on a draft board before that. Maybe I'm tripping though. Keenan Allen.
He's becoming a little bit more popular as a dart as we go, I think.
Okay,
Just
that's interesting.
because of the potential for him to be the one. Now,
Yeah, I
obviously,
mean he
the
might
one's
be,
probably
but he's
not very
fucking
valuable.
terrible.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen. This was before the Colts announced him as being signed, or maybe
Yep.
it got announced in the middle of the draft.
I don't remember. Maybe it may have been during the draft. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Timeline
And then
seems
went
right.
Caleb Douglas, Trey Tucker, who I really wanted Trey Tucker, so fuck
Yeah.
you, Blake.
I like him as a dart.
So I had Bigsby and Tucker, Kyotos, whoever fell. Bigsby ended up falling. It's just an RB handcuff. Saquon gets hurt. He's old. Bigsby is like, there's some handcuffs where you don't know if they're going to get like 100% of the work. Like Bigsby's actually good. He's going to get a ton of work.
Yep. Agreed.
And then it went Omar Cooper, Jalen McMillan into your Jalen Naylor pick.
Yeah, I think for me, when I decided to prioritize the running backs in those last two rounds, I definitely wanted to throw a dart at receiver. Now, honestly, in hindsight, I probably would have preferred to do one of those running back darts and then probably a receiver dart in that range because this range of wide receivers is pretty bleak.
Yeah,
Like this is where it's getting really grimy for me because Trey Tucker I think has functioned as the one and he's gotten some
I do
hype as
too.
like the best receiver option and there's no doubt that that's what it's looking like going into week one for the Raiders. But Jalen Naylor is just kind of like the follow the money play because we've seen flashes of what he can look like, throughout a season, even alongside a guy like Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Like he's been able to carve out some fantasy relevancy from here and there, But for me, it's just like the follow the money play. Like Trey Tucker may be good and all, but to be honest with you, if it's 4 weeks into the season and Jalen Naylor ends up becoming the guy that's starting to get the looks, I don't think anybody should be surprised by that. So just another dart throw within that Vegas offense, which hopefully has Fernando Mendoza taking over to raise the ceiling overall sooner than later. And then at that turn, it goes Dylan Sampson, Jonah Coleman. Trevor Lawrence, Isaiah Pacheco, Jackson Dart. Which Trevor Lawrence, by the way, that's a super super late Trevor Lawrence. I know you were
Yeah,
saying that's probably a value that you would have liked to get, but it was
yeah,
more so the fact that there was more quarterbacks down the board, and your boy was still sitting there. So I'm
yeah.
sure you were comfortable.
I had
But then it goes, yeah,
I was just gonna say, so at twelve
yeah,
six, again we're through 12 rounds. I still do not have my starting quarterback. I
yeah,
had T Law, Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, and Kyler Murray in the queue, and only
yeah.
one team didn't have a quarterback. I can't draft quarterback when I'm comfortable with four guys when there's running backs on the board like I want, and only one team needs a quarterback. So
Hmm.
he goes T
That's how
Law.
you take advantage of sharper leagues, man.
I would have really liked T Law over Nix, but it's not enough to where like I'm willing to lose out on Bigsby and then end up drafting like Alvin Kamara or something instead later, just because the
Right.
gap's
And
not big enough.
I think that's one of the most this is one of the most important points that we can make about a sharp league is that there's so much less as far as like inherent advantages that you get in a league setting like this, but one of them is the fact that guys are going to be smart and not take that second QB, not take that tight end, so you have to leverage that as much as possible by waiting even longer if you were a team that decided to wait on those two positions. That's exactly what you have to do.
Yeah, if you're gonna wait, wait. Like don't wait until you're the last team to draft him in the 10th round. Like take advantage of yourself waiting, like Jet's saying.
Yeah.
So Vishy took Dart as his QB2. Adonai
Mhm.
Mitchell goes Jake Ferguson
Yeah.
by Jet.
Yeah, and I could go ahead and just let me just hit on like the mentality here because I know this is kind of funky. I don't think I ever expected to leave one of these drafts with three tight ends. It was
Yeah,
not on purpose. My mentality was genuinely looking at this draft board. I'm like, no, almost no matter what happens, a lot like my bottom 3 to 4 picks within this sharp ass league are probably going to end up off my team pretty quickly anyway. So I want to see if I can hit on a couple of these tight end darts who to me look more promising within their position than any receiver does. I mean, obviously, like running back, I probably, if I was drafting today, I may have taken the dart on Emmett Johnson, who the reporting has gotten much better on since we completed this draft. I think he's like kind of that guy. And you mentioned Brian Robinson being a guy just because it being the clear cuff, but for me, my mentality was like, hey, this is a league where again it's super sharp and guys aren't taking a bunch of tight ends. So I'm like, hey, Jake Ferguson and Terrence Ferguson as last 2 round picks. Like, what if these guys turn out to be because the hype on Terrence Ferguson has
it's
been the fact that he's
crazy.
been learning the whole route tree and playing fucking X through Z, X through line of scrimmage. Like he's been everywhere, right?
Yeah,
He's playing X through inline, I should say. So like for me, that's kind of exciting. The upside play is there for that. So if Jake Ferguson ends up being a touchdown machine like we've seen in the past, if he happens to be the guy Dak's going back to in the red zone early on in the season, then maybe I use those guys as trade bait, or maybe they even become like legitimate flex options in a super deep league like this. So I don't know. To me, it just felt more valuable as opposed to taking the stab on a Trey Harris, on a Jerry Judy, on some of those receiver options. I'm
did
like,
Jerry
you know
Judy
what?
get
I'm
drafted?
gonna take a
Holy
couple stabs at
shit,
tight
that
end.
is an insane pick.
But
I
that's
did
what I'm
not know
saying. It's
Jerry
like
Judy got
Dontavion
drafted.
Wicks, Deshaun Vele, like Pat
Yeah, these are
Bryant.
some
There's no
terrible
way.
names.
Like I'm
Um,
just like, give me Jake Ferguson and Terrence Ferguson. Let's see if they score some touchdowns
yeah,
or do something exciting early on, and I'll deal them. I'll dangle them, or maybe they'll even become, like I said, flex options. You never know.
yeah. I think the Jake Ferguson pick is very boring. The Terrence Ferguson pick, I really, really like.
Yeah, the upside is
I
there.
had him in the
Yeah.
queue, but
Mhm.
you go Ferguson, Trey Harris, Ray Davis. I'm like, okay, now is my time to finally go quarterback because I knew at this
Mhm.
point I was like, I'm pretty sure I want to go two QBs. I have
Mhm.
so many running backs and wide receivers at this point. I had
Yeah,
my
for
tight
sure.
end that I like, and I was like, um, I think I want to go Juwan Johnson or Terrence Ferguson in the last. I'm gonna take Bo Nix because I also knew like I want to make sure I get Bo Nix. Like I didn't wait this long
Of
to
course,
not get Bo Nix, you know.
had
So
to.
I drafted Bo Nix, and then Jawan Johnson goes. I was pretty annoyed about that because I really like Jawan Johnson as a late round throw.
Yeah.
And then I had Kyler Murray and Jordan Love in the queue. Ended up going Jordan Love because Kyler Murray went, and then I have Jaden Reed. So if the bet on Jaden Reed is, they go to three wide receiver sets a lot, they pass a lot, the defense is
Yeah.
ass, they're throwing a lot. Like Jordan Love may become my starter over Bo Nix. I'm just gonna play matchups there. Like if Nix has a snow game
Yeah.
in Denver, or Love
Mhm.
has a snow game in Green Bay. I didn't even think about it. I took two snow quarterbacks. Um,
True.
I can
December's gonna get
alternate
rough.
those. Yeah, I can alternate
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, sure.
Um, hopefully they never have a
Yeah. Jordan Love will
home
go play
game.
in the dome in Detroit, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. Um, and then you took Ferguson. You talked about that. That's really
Yeah.
all I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys gain a lot by looking at a $500 league. This video is super long, so
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap it up quickly. But I think you gain a lot by looking at a league like this versus like a random mock
Agreed.
draft, so you can understand who goes what, the strategies we use, how I weighted on quarterback, and how Jet weighted on quarterback, and Jet took his guy above ADP today in price just because that's his guy, and
Yep.
etc. There's plenty of things you can look at through here and learn, not just from us, from other teams like Vichy or Jazz. Jazz weighted on QB as well. So appreciate you guys if you did watch to the end of this video. First of all, you're insane. You're a legend. But have a great night. That's it from us for today. We're going to have some more videos later. And of course, we're always updating the rankings. So deuces.